Hi, everybody. As you know, have been doing lots of interviews with people because I love talking to people that have got the same mindset as me. And you know, one of my big mind things is that we don't need labels and we don't fit in boxes, and that we need to look at stuff, and we need to, just because we've always done it that way, is that should we continue to do that? And you know, it's a big thing for me. Now, COVID's had an interesting effect in that it's put a lot of pressure on a lot of businesses, including ours. So we're not operating in our normal way. We're not seeing as many clients. So we have to think really careful about the money that we spend on any kind of marketing or advertising as we move forward. So me and my lovely minders, who you're very aware of, have been having conversations about what we can commit to going forward to keep Ollie alive and get him out there to you guys, and what we can't. And one of the first things was an event that we did last year called the Tes Show. And I'm going to get these two lovely people with me to explain that in a minute. And we go along to these events and we're not really sure because Ollie's fairly new. And it was probably one of the only ones that just absolutely inspired me. And the reason that it did is because it's about SEN, special educational needs, but the mix of exhibitors there and the fact that such a huge event, and these guys actually giving me their time this morning is amazing. You'll hear why in a minute because they're quite busy. It's quite a big business that they have. But they don't just have the standard same. They invite guys like us to come to go along so that we can showcase who we are and what we're doing, so that every single teacher out there, every single parent gets choice. And that's why we love it. And I know that, very like a load of other exhibitions at the moment, they've had to put it back. But I'm really pleased to say there's a new date in. So I'm going to shut up and introduce you to the gorgeous Matt and the really lovely Bev, who will explain to you what the Tes Show is. And we've got some new dates, I believe.
We do indeed. Thanks, Ali, for the introduction. So we've moved the show because of the prevailing circumstances that we're all subject to at the moment from its normal dateline in October to the 8th and 9th of January next year, so that we can start the year off on a really positive footing. Once hopefully everybody's got a bit more clarity on what the new world looks like and what the new normal is, and really just position the show in a way that it can provide all the benefits and advantages that we intend it to, for everybody to start off the new calendar year once they've also, especially from a school's perspective, once they've had at least a full term, hopefully from September, to be back in school and to really assess what needs to happen on the back of the lockdown period that we're all living through at the moment, the impact that's had on children and their learning, at a critical time of their development. So we're really excited to be able to provide new dates for the show, and also to structure it in a way that people are familiar with, and to provide the usual mix of huge learning opportunities and CPD for teachers, practitioners, SENCOs and so on, but also provide an environment commercially where the companies who offer products, services and support for this market, who are phenomenally dedicated and cover a huge range of products, can get in front of the teachers that need those products and find out about them and demonstrate them. Even we see a significant amount of product launches as well every year, and a lot of that sort of thing has been delayed because of COVID. So it should be a really buzzing, vibrant, busy atmosphere where everybody's got plenty they want to get on with, and yeah, we're looking forward to it happening to make sure we can support the market in the way that we try and do every year.
Brilliant. And Bev, I mean, I'm not the most eloquent, but the guys that follow me know that. But I sort of went in to explain why we specifically love coming. I mean, who are we? We're Ollie. We've only been about a while, but we're at your event with some really big names, and that gives us. So what is it that makes your event so beautifully unique from your perspective?
From my perspective, it's the passion that I think the whole team have for the event. I mean, I've been involved with the event coming up to 20 years now. So there's a history and a passion of all of the speakers that come along and talk. They often have a history with the event and with children that having children themselves that have special educational needs. SEN rarely happens in isolation. So we thought it was important to make sure we've got a wide range of content for our audience, so that we're covering comorbid issues as well. We're looking at the most current issues. And in moving the events to January, we've tweaked the programme slightly to make sure that it's as current as it can be, bearing in mind that things change on a day-to-day basis. I think the other thing that makes the show unique is that it's a combination of seminars, parents and carers, and exhibitions, stand holders. So we've got quite a wide range of content, not just in the seminar programme, but in the event as a whole.
I know, I mean, we're never sure, and as I say, we're not the biggest company in the world, so we have to be careful where we throw our money. But it was just amazing. We were mobbed. We had teachers, parents, we had every walk of life, home educators coming in talking to us. So it was a lovely, lovely thing. But what sort of challenges do you think that the guys that are potentially going to come along to your show are facing right now, whether they're teachers or parents, carers, etc., etc.?
I think just going back to the reason why I think you were mobbed, I think it's because you've got practical resources, you've got hands-on stuff that teachers can take away, and that's what they love. They actually like it. They don't have time to go and find those nuggets, those gems, and you bring that out in Ollie. You bring that resource to them so that they know all the testing's been done, they know it's tried and tested, and they can just crack on and use it. Looking at some of the challenges that we faced, of course, there's COVID-19, and that thing that keeps popping up, and the impact it's had on teachers and the children that they're working with. They've been through, teachers and the children have been through such a whirlwind of change just recently. Teachers are having to think on their feet, schools are having to think on their feet to provide content, to find new ways of communicating and staying in touch with the children and young people and their parents and carers. And that's a huge challenge. Managing the social distancing, managing how schools are actually set up during this time. There is no rule book, they're having to make it up as they go along. So they're looking for new and innovative resources and support. And I think that's what the show can offer. It's always been able to offer varied content in a number of different formats. So the challenges that we see that teachers have been, grappling with just recently is not being in school full time or being furloughed means that their communities, their networks are not there in the same way that they have been in the past. So they're having to look for new ways of working, and we're trying to address that with some webinars that we're bringing out, and I'll let Matt tell you a bit about those in a little while. Finding good quality resources is always a challenge for teachers, and now where they can't actually go out, they're having to rely on online resources or looking for things online, and we all know that it's much better to actually go and see resources, to try them, to test them out, and to talk to the people who are selling them. So that's the great thing about the exhibition. You can actually ask questions, you can discern for yourself whether the resource, the book, the little pack of stickers or whatever suits the children that you're going to be working with. And that's really, really important in sort of teachers' time limited world that they live in. Work-life balance is also a huge issue for teachers, and making sure that they feel supported and that their mental health well-being is considered alongside the safety of the children and young people that they work with. And I'm going to shut up there and let Matt kick in.
Thanks, Bev. I mean, the one of the key points around the show, and never more so than at the next edition of the event, which, as I said, has moved to January, is the reciprocal benefit that it delivers to the exhibitors. I mean, there is as Beverley's clearly described, there is a huge value in teachers, SENCOs, home educators, parents, the full mix of people involved in all their different capacities across SEN and additional needs to come to the show and find out about products, to learn about the latest techniques, topics, subjects, areas of concern, whatever they may be. But from the exhibitor's point of view as well, the opportunity to spend 2 days face-to-face networking with people that have a genuine, practical interest in their products that they can see a way to integrate into their learning systems or into their daily lives if they're working at home with children, whatever capacity they're in. The opportunity to do that for exhibitors is significant. The Tes SEN Show has this will be the 29th year of the show. It's no coincidence that it's existed in its own place in the broader education market so successfully for so long. It has always and continues to serve very clear purpose for anybody who comes to the event, either as an exhibitor, as a visitor, as a speaker. It's an inherent, very well considered environment that it provides for all the right conversations to happen with people, and none more so now, as Beverley highlighted, with the there are enough pressures in a normal year, and that's putting it mildly, and we try and be as respectful of that as possible by making sure that the 2 days are jam packed with opportunities for people. That everybody's got their own reasons for going, but it's always really so refreshing and invigorating, even for us as the organisers, who all have our own vested interest in education, to see how people throw themselves into it.
It's lovely to see, sorry Matt, that when we get new speakers like yourself, Ali, coming in, they always comment about the atmosphere that there is within the show, with the camaraderie with speakers as well. Someone once asked me why so many of our speakers are consultants, and I said, because good SEN teachers never retire, they become consultants. They are the practitioners that we had maybe 5-10 years ago that have huge amounts of valuable experience and so much passion that they stay with the event, they stay with the work that they've been doing, because they just want to continue. Special education needs, many don't go away. They're lifelong difficulties that people have, and those teachers recognize that, and they're evolving and developing their knowledge and their expertise as we go along. So just because you see consultant at the end of everybody's name, that means that they've decided to come out of the education workforce, come out of the schools, but it doesn't mean to say they've lost the passion for the work that they want to do.
They're quite the opposite. They're feeding directly back into it with the latest possible knowledge and knowledge built up over years of teaching and best practice and so on. The other key point I think about the show and its place in the market, it is the only event that offers what and aims to support exclusively the people it does in across SEN. Interestingly, and I'll be curious to see this for January. The show year on year at the moment has been attracting an audience from further afield across the UK, further afield across Europe and beyond. So with the prevailing health concerns and safety issues and all the rest of it that everybody globally has had to live through these, and still is living through at the moment, the impact is going to be felt, especially in education and especially in SEN needs and requirements, really sharply by people. So the show has to exist to support that and to give people access to whatever it is they think they need. In their capacities as teachers, as SENCOs, as parents, as carers, or in a lot of cases a combination of all of those things. So that direction we want to take it.
One of the things that I absolutely wanted to get across, I work with a lot of schools, I work with a lot of SEN groups. Some of them had heard of your show, some hadn't. And there was this sense of, well, it's only for teachers, maybe SENCOs or the people in school that buy in services. And having walked around the show myself and learnt so damn much, I just wanted to scream at them, for goodness sakes, no. How would you answer that? It's your show.
I would say every teacher is a teacher of special educational needs, as set out in the teacher standards. The strategy I used to put the content together for the seminar programme is based around the SEND Code of Practice 2015 0-25. We take seriously all the policies and standards that teachers need to adhere to, and we try and build those into the programme each year. So far, for the past 3 years, we've had DFE involvement in the keynote speech, because it's important that that teachers get to question and challenge those that are making the policy decisions. Absolutely. And talk to them about what it means on the ground. So we take that really seriously, and so it's not just for teachers, it's the entire education workforce that we cater for. And in addition to that, because the Code of Practice says quite clearly that we need to have regard for the parents' voice, and parents need to have an integral part in the development of education, health and care plans, that we involved parents. What we wanted to do with the Parent and Carer and Teacher Forum is to get that group of people talking, get them communicating, helping them to see that we're all on the same side and we all want to achieve the same thing, but trying to do that in a diplomatic way and give parents a voice so that teachers can hear and see the value in that voice.
I'm repeating myself, I know, but I have to say I'm quite straightforward. I like something or I don't, and I have to say our interactions with you guys, from being an exhibitor there and just being a part of that, it's a village that,
that's exactly right.
It's fantastic. But also, I know you're both incredibly busy people, and for you to even give me the time is fantastic. I know one of the questions that people will have, and it's one of the questions that got us talking at this juncture, was you have set new dates. Obviously, loads of people go, well, do I book? Don't I book? What if nothing's checked? What could you say to people right now that are thinking about booking up and coming along, and how do they do that? How do they find you? Where are the dates?
So we're on the 8th and 9th of January, which is Friday and Saturday, at the start of the new year. The show website is at tessenshow.co.uk. So all the information will be on there. We normally, had the show been in October, we would have launched the full programme by now, just after Easter, when the schools would have gone back then. Obviously, with the delay of 3 months, we've pushed that back. We're sort of working day to day, gauging, when schools do start going back, what the uptake will be in schools reopening in June, so in a week's time. Because it's crucial for us, for the shows, but to promote effectively and consistently to active teachers in their working environment.
Yeah.
It's that method that has built the show up to the levels that it now operates at, and we need to, like everybody in this new world, sort of find a clear path through the melee at the moment. But once the promotion starts, we'll start communicating. People can register their interest to receipt to go on our mailing lists, register interest on our website. But in terms of booking seminars, the show itself, and it's important to stress this, is entirely free to attend. Register in advance and come along on the Friday or the Saturday or both days. It's entirely up to you.
All parent and carer sessions are free as well.
All parent and carer sessions are free. There are some exhibitor-led workshops that we run as well, which are all free to attend. The only element of the show that has a price attached to it are the seminars on the sort of central key seminar program that we run, and we have an early bird rate that will go live on there from when the show goes live up until late October, after which the prices go up. It's £16 a seminar with the early bird rate, so I encourage people to book early. In terms of people being in two minds about, going back out in public into environments where there are lots of people, especially we've all got very used to standing apart from people and social distancing, and for all the right reasons. The events industry overall is clamoring and lobbying government directly to open up the events industry again, to separate it out from the general term of mass gatherings, and to look at very specifically, organised events. So the events industry is working on some guidelines that ideally will be applicable to pretty much all events in terms of safe access of people, distancing, and everything as sort of touch-free as possible, which are all things that absolutely need looking at and the right consideration, but all ironically run counter to how exhibitions might have looked and felt in the past. So it's a big change for all of us. But the key thing through all of this is that us as the organizer of this show, and indeed other events in the education sector, and other sectors, as well as plenty of other organisers, are all absolutely committed to making sure that their events can still go on because of the value they add to the people that they're designed to support. And in this case, none more so than in education.
Yeah.
And it's one that we, are hugely fond of, in terms of, the value that it adds and the benefit that it gives people. And which brings you on to the point around what we're doing to bridge the gap. The last SEN show, as we sit here today, was back in October 2019. There won't be a show this October, and it'll bump to January, so that'll create a 16 month gap. So we're launching a series of free to access webinars covering a range of absolutely salient, relevant, vital topics that are of key benefit to teachers and practitioners, SENCOs, that the full range of levels of people, whatever setting they work in, that are relevant now on the back of this period that we're coming out of as schools start to reopen. So Beverley, as head of content, has pulled together an initial series of 10 webinars that are going to start from mid-June on the basis of running 2 a week. They'll be free to register for, and as we do with the real physical seminars that we run at the show, they're designed to attract exactly the same type of audience, but from the comfort and safety of your own living room or sitting room, wherever. On the back of that series running through to the summer, we'll then look at phase 2, and around the time of October, when the show should have run, to put another series of seminars in place so that people can watch remotely. Because whilst the show is a physical event, the other 51 and a half weeks of the year when it isn't running, the show is still something that pulls in a lot of attention, that we want to create an expectation amongst our visitors and indeed our exhibitors that we're a source of support for people. And no better way to do it than with Beverley leading the charge on pulling the right content together and pulling speakers, such as yourself, Ali, into it, and others to really give a brilliant cross-section view on key topics. So that's something else that we can all look forward to.
For me, I love the event, but the fact that you're doing these webinars to bridge the gap, that speaks volumes, because you're an organisation that aren't just doing an event once a year, come along peeps, have a good time. It shows you really, really care, because you're bridging that gap. You're very aware that people are out here, they're struggling, they need ideas, they need to talk to people. Mm-hmm. So I can honestly only thank you both from the bottom of my heart for running the events, for taking the time out to speak to us. And we will put all the links we've mentioned up on this recording so that everybody can access them. And honestly, people, whether you're a parent, you're a teacher, special educational needs, or someone in your family, I cannot recommend highly enough. It's free, for goodness sakes. Go along, you will learn something. I learn something every time I go there, and we'll be there. So please come along and come and say hello. But again, Beverley, Matt, can I thank you? Take care, stay safe, and we'll speak soon.
Yeah.
And before we wrap, reciprocally, thank you very much to you, Ali, and to your team. It's been really, really enlightening talking to all of you over the last couple of weeks, and it's really gratifying, on any day of the year, but especially now in the current circumstances, to hear such positivity about the show and to see the support for it, that you're providing. And that this conversation is one example of that. So it's really appreciated. Thank you.
I was told once by a very wise person who I believe was a SEN teacher and retired, became a consultant because she had so much knowledge still to give, that it takes a village to raise a child. And, that's not just therapists and teachers, and it's guys like you that allow us the format to get together to share that information. So again, thank you very much. Stay safe. Look forward to doing your webinar. Really looking forward to seeing you in January. Guys, follow the links. Have a look. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.